Beside energy, there's one more important thing, and it's food. Let's roll next clip.
Farming has been at the heart of our lives for generations, but to the climate change advocates, suddenly it's a threat.
A lot of people have no clue that agriculture contributes about 33% of all the emissions of the world. You just can't continue to both warm the planet while also expecting to feed it. Doesn't work.
One thing John Kerry didn't mention was that farming and agriculture contributes 100% of the food that we need to eat. So that's a little kind of an important detail that he ought to have mentioned. And I think what we're dealing with here is actually a global war on agriculture. I believe they are demolishing our food infrastructure, partly to cause a crisis, right? And I guarantee you, mark my words, we're going to be in a food crisis, and they're going to say it's climate change.
No farmers, no food. I had a guest, it was Andrew Bridge, and we talked about crisis of food in United Kingdom. They want to decrease food supply because 30% of emission is food. Mark.
Talk about food. I mean, all of these crises have something in common, but COVID or climate change or whatever, they all play on people's fear to start with. It's a sort of double hit. They play on your fear, play on your conscience and your care for the common good, and they get people to do what they want to help solve the problem. They might come a cropper with food because food is essential to everybody's life. And already we're seeing a huge increase in prices in this country. But our land is under threat from, first of all, as we've talked about, wind turbines and solar panels, particularly solar panels on farmland. You can see them everywhere you travel, like acres and acres of solar panels. So we're losing farmland, but also under the threat of, as part of the United Nations regeneration plans, we are rewilding a lot of land as well. There are plans to rewild huge areas and prevent farmers from growing crops. And then, of course, there is the value of farmland and forest land to offset carbon. This scheme whereby if a company is using, let's take British Airways for an example, or any airline, they're using a lot of carbon, and so they have to offset it. So they're buying land and forest land, and they're just leaving it, and they say because it's absorbing carbon, they can offset that against what they're using. So more and more land is being used up. But I think almost the key point for me was, I don't know whether that was in the clip you just played, but Catherine Austin Fitts basically points to the fact that they want to kill off all of the small farmers so that everything goes through big corporations, and they want you to use more lab-grown meats and insect flour and insect foods. Because as she says, if they can control all of that, they're controlling the whole food supply, and every dollar spent goes to their bottom line. Again, it's as Phil been saying, it's about this central control, but it's channeling all of the production into a central place, and they're making the money. But I will tell you now that, in this country, and I'm sure Croatia's the same, we enjoy our food too much, and there will not be a great welcome if we have to eat insect food and lab-grown meat. I think it's one bridge that they may find more difficult to cross.
Philip, I saw that they're offering artificial meat, 3D printed meat and artificial food. At the same time, BlackRock is buying 13 billion hectares of very good agricultural land in Ukraine. And I don't think that they will produce artificial meat there or any kind of artificial food. For me, that doesn't make any sense.
No, and Ukraine, of course, it's interesting the conflict that's been playing out there because it's historically been known as the breadbasket of Europe. It's a huge food exporter across the world. You asking, are they planning to make natural food there, and for what end?
Of course. What else are they planning to do there?
Well, if on the one hand, you have consolidation of that power, because even if there is natural organic food grown there, it's sort of falling under their jurisdiction, isn't it? It would seem to be that there's they seem to be vying for a two-tiered society where if things continue on the trajectory that we're on at the moment, most working class people might not be able to afford the sort of food items that they want. And so they may be nudged onto artificial foods, particularly when things like carbon pricing come in and you're given a carbon allowance. It might be that a lot of the diet that you have currently is untenable. And so you're sort of forced financially onto, some of these very questionable, be they lab grown or, plant-based or just meat alternatives and these lab grown foods. I mean, I saw recently Bill Gates has attached his name to a lab grown butter, so this sort of attack on meat and dairy, which is just, it's just lunacy. I think if anything, Bill Gates has probably got a future in the diet industry because nothing puts people off their food quite like seeing Bill Gates' name attached to something.